Okay, so good morning, or as we usually say, Boker Tov. I hope you can hear me. I know it's noisy in the background, but we are, and I'm going to put it on noise cancellation. I don't know if that makes a difference in how you hear me, because there's probably noise coming from the background, but I'm traveling, and so today's class will definitely be shorter, a lot shorter, because I got to board the plane soon. We shall be back tomorrow, God willing. We're traveling for a mitzvah, and we want to just share a thought or two. So we have some Torah thought here. Now, I want to make it clear. The title of the class, the topic of the class is who should you vote for? Now, I will not tell you vote for this candidate or vote for that candidate. I won't do that for several reasons. Number one, it's not my place to tell you who to vote for. That's sort of your decision. And I, especially as a Chabad rabbi, will never endorse one candidate over the other. If a candidate asks me to come do a benediction or an invocation, no matter what party that candidate is for, my responsibility is to spread light, to spread Torah, and I will do so. But I will not endorse one candidate over the other. Secondly, it would also be sort of suicidal. What I mean by suicidal, I mean in today's environment where there's so much passion and emotional passion, as soon as you take a side with regards to politics, you really alienate many people. And while it's okay to voice your opinion, under normal circumstances you should feel 100% comfortable to voice your opinion. My first and primary responsibility is to share Torah, to share the words of the Jewish teachings and so on. And if taking a political stand alienates people from hearing Torah, then it is not worth it and counterproductive. Having said that, I also feel it's my responsibility to perhaps share some values, some Torah values that I believe, that's my understanding. Again, you might disagree, you might have a different opinion, but nevertheless, this I think is totally within my sort of responsibility to share what I believe are Torah values. Let me just turn off here the vibrator because it's constantly disturbing. Sorry for that interruption. This, I believe, is definitely within my sort of rights and obligation to share with you what I believe is Torah values based on my understanding, and hopefully that could give you some guidance of how to vote if you haven't already made a very firm decision how to vote. So I want to mention a couple of things. First of all, try very carefully not to vote based on sort of stuck emotions. Try to be open-minded and vote based on truly analyzing and evaluating what are your principles, what are your core principles, and within that discussion say, okay, which of the candidates matches my core principles as a human being, as a Jew, as a citizen of this country, of course. So from a Torah perspective, Torah is a guide to life. Torah does tell us how to live daily mundane life. It's not something that's only relegated to the synagogue and to when we do religious activities. It does give us a guide at how we should live life. So I want to mention again, as I said, a couple of principles. Principle number one is very much related to this week's Torah portion, where God says that says to Abraham in Parshas Vayera, God says to Abraham, or God sort of muses to himself and says, why did I choose Abraham? I don't have the actual verse open in front of me, so I will give you sort of I will paraphrase from memory. God says that why did I choose Abraham? Because I know that he will teach his children to be dedicated both to charity and to justice. So that is a strong Torah Jewish principle. And again, when evaluating your political choice, make sure that, and again, if you want to follow a Torah principle, Torah ethics, make sure that the first and basic reason of why God says he loves and chooses Abraham is because he will teach and keep and inculcate his offspring, his children, with charity, kindness, and justice. That's number one. Number two, to take it a little broader, a little bit of different arena. Torah says as the first mitzvah given in the Torah is to be fruitful and multiply, which means a mitzvah to have children, to have as many children as you can have, and to raise them in those principles that God says why Abraham was chosen. So that is a principle number two in terms of societal healthiness, is a commitment to have a family, to have children. That is, it's not just living life for yourself and for your own satisfaction, pleasure, amusement, peace of mind, but a dedication to family, which of course also means one of the mitzvahs in the Torah is to get married, to have a spouse, and to be, as the Torah says immediately in Genesis, that's why man leaves his husband, leaves his parents, and becomes one with his wife, and they become as one. So that is another important principle of Torah. There are many other principles. Unfortunately, I have to get on my flight, but I do want to share perhaps another principle, and we could maybe have a further discussion about this down the line. I do want to say, and this is also a little bit tougher, is that I believe that it's a principle of Torah that whoever you choose as a political leader has to themselves have good moral principles. I know that today there is somewhat of the thinking that, look, I'm not choosing a saint, I'm choosing a political leader that has to bring about policies that I like. I don't care about what their personal life and their moral standards are. And I don't think that that is correct. From a Torah perspective, anybody who's in a true leadership position is also a role model, whether they like it or not, and their personal morality and how they conduct themselves is very much something that you also should evaluate when choosing who you vote for. Now, some of these things sometimes can be conflicting, whether the principles that I believe and the person that I'm choosing might be in conflict. Maybe, in other words, he might have very, very good policies in what he's enforcing, but he does not have a good moral character, or vice versa, has great moral character, but I do not like what the person is standing for. So these are tougher questions that you will need to decide, but to keep it short, because I got to get on the plane, these are some, not all, of the moral principles that I believe are very much part of Torah principles that should allow you and give you assistance of how to choose a candidate of who you feel lives up to these standards amongst quite a few others. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to share some words of Torah as I continue my flight for a mitzvah cause. Everybody have a fantastic rest of the week. Sorry for the short class. I believe next week we should be back onto normal schedule. Have a fantastic week.